Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Fruitcake Astrologer, where I give you an experienced astrologer's take on current events and people in the news. So today I want to talk about predictions for the United States for the fall of 2019, specifically around September 23rd up until a little bit before Christmas. So here's a chart. And you'll see that there is a pileup of planets in the second house of money and self-esteem, and it's stressed by a T-square with Pluto and Saturn and the moon in the north, the node. So this would tend to indicate that the U.S. economy is in for a hit in fall of 2019. It may be related to something I'm going to loosely call an earthquake. Now, it could be a political earthquake. It could be an earthquake, earthquake. It could be a financial earthquake. Okay, but something unexpected, because Uranus is a planet of disruption, of the unexpected. It might be a storm, it might be a hurricane, but something looks to really affect the United States' ability to earn money. This falls under the realm of the banks in the United States. It falls under the realm of the GDP, our gross domestic product, how well we do. I think it's going to come in and not be as good in the fall. You'll notice part of this T-square, Pluto and Saturn, are in the fifth house of the stock market, which squares the second house of money. Dang, it looks like the stock market's going to at least have a correction. The biggest hits looking to be real estate, entertainment, luxuries. There may be discord between our leaders and the banking system, because the second house rules banks as well. And you'll also notice that Neptune is inching toward the eighth house of debt and interest rates. So that could also be something that's going to disrupt the economy. Now, that ninth house, retrograde Uranus, disrupts. The ninth house are colleges. We've got college scandals going on right now. Mars rules the ninth house, so people are angry. Maybe even, some violence going on. So something looks to disrupt us. It could be politics is ninth house. It could be all things foreign. It could be the Chinese maybe want to take out our economy because they'd like nothing better than to see a new president in the office. The president, of course, is taxing the Chinese economy, and I believe that the Chinese would rather be coming down on the Hong Kong protesters, but they don't want to in the middle of a trade war where they're trying to get people on their side. Now, as I look at this chart, it occurs to me how many people the president has made angry. Okay, so the Chinese aren't happy about the tariffs. The EU would like to see Trump gone because he's helping Boris with Brexit, and we all know Brexit is not in the best interest of the EU if they start having their members drop off. The Democrats want to oust him, and the industrial complex probably also wants to get rid of him too because he's pulling us out of these little foreign wars over in Afghanistan. And I believe some of these bombs cost like $1 million a piece or something. So they're probably not happy that, their source of revenue is drying up. So a lot of people aren't liking this president. Now, we know the stats say, I think it's around 80%. Trump has an 80% chance of being reelected if he's an incumbent with a good economy. So how are they going to come after him? To me, killing the economy would be a way to make it very difficult for Trump to be elected. The bad news is if the economy is taken out, whether by foreign intervention, China decides to call in all their debt or, whatever. I'm making these up. I don't know that's going to happen, okay? I'm just saying whatever happens, the little guy always gets stuck in the middle in these power struggles. So I really hope that's not the case. Now, the last time Uranus was in Taurus was during the Great Depression, and I don't mean to freak you out, but it was like in low 1933 or 4, I think. Now, wherever he sits, he brings bubbles. Okay, so Uranus has gone into Taurus. So we see the market at all-time highs. We may see a swing the other way because that's what Uranus does in any sign, and he's in the sign of money. So I'm getting another read that maybe the stock market is in for, at minimum, a major correction. So whatever house he's in this short-term period chart, this 3-month chart, he's going to disrupt and potentially reorganize. Okay, and I'm wondering if it's going to be the DOJ is about to be disrupted, the Department of Justice, because the 9th house rules all things justice, and there's a big inconjunct to Jupiter. So maybe this means there's going to be disruption in the Department of Justice, and that's going to get reorganized, but probably the leaders. You will also notice that Uranus rules science and technology, and Uranus in the 9th house of publishing might indicate that the tech internet companies are going to have some downturns because Uranus is retrograde, right? And so it could be that there is going to be some misfortune there, maybe some internet outages, because Uranus opposes the part of misfortune in the 3rd house of communication and is in that big T-square. Pluto is in that big T-square. So it looks like they might have a tough quarter in the fall. Maybe legislators are like, these privacy, we need to catch up to the privacy laws. Maybe they're going to have their feet held accountable for other things they've done. So I would expect this to be a tough quarter for any tech companies. Now, the president looks to be in danger. Oh my God, that's a radical thing to say, isn't it? But the president is the 10th house, ruled by Venus, and the 8th house of death from the 10th is the 5th house, and there is Pluto conjunct Saturn in the 5th house, in that big T-square with Venus, which rules the midheaven. So that tells me that the president is probably in danger in this quarter. Now, whether it's political danger because it's in Libra, the sign of lawyers, law, whether he's in physical danger, which would be the 6th house of health, Saturn rules it. The president's health is the 3rd house, which is also ruled by Venus and has the part of misfortune in it. So I don't know whether it'll be his physical health. He looks to be under tremendous emotional pressure with the moon opposing Pluto and Venus in that T-square. It looks to me like he's going to be facing more lawsuits. Okay, potentially a sex scandal that he is implicated in. Now, some of this looks to be petty stuff because wherever you see Mercury, he brings petty disputes. Nothing. Mercury's kind of the quick moving, doesn't really stick around. So it looks maybe petty, more petty stuff than anything, but just to kind of put him under emotional pressure. Pluto opposing the moon conjunct Saturn. I'm worried. I'm fearful. So whenever I see like the president in physical danger, I'm going to look for a saving grace, okay, something to mitigate it, and I find it. So while I think he's in danger, I think he'll be okay because Pluto trines the midheaven, and the midheaven is beautifully aspected in Taurus. Pluto never gives up. Pluto is tough as nails, and in the fixed sign of Taurus means this guy isn't going anywhere. So I think he'll be okay, but I expect him to be under at least minimally emotional pressure, probably lawsuits, potentially a health issue. We are also looking at a potential sex scandal involving youngsters. Okay, because the 5th house rules children, and Pluto is conjunct Saturn there. Pluto reveals secrets and Saturn holds them accountable. You'll notice it's in that T-square with Venus and Mercury. Venus is young women, Mercury is young boys. And the sex houses is the 5th house, and Pluto is also a sex planet, so is Venus. So I'm thinking there are going to be people in power who are going to be implicated, specifically leaders, diplomats, attorneys. I'm getting a double read on attorneys. Lilith is used in an Ingress chart because she's usually implicated with really bad things happening. Okay, and you'll notice Lilith is conjunct Neptune in the 7th house of attorneys. So I think there's going to be some really yucky stuff coming out, evil stuff. And I would expect these evil attorneys, Neptune conjunct Lilith in the 7th house of lawyers, to be in full-on lion mode. So I would say in the fall, keep your eyes peeled for evil, deceitful attorneys, okay? So, yes, this does look to be a distressing chart for the United States, but I think we're okay because Jupiter is angular and in its own sign, so we will be afforded protection. You will also notice that there is that tensional T-square in the 2nd house of money, but there are 2 beneficents in there, and yes, while Venus is stressed, she's also in her own sign, so she's a little tougher there. So bottom line, looks to be economic issues for the United States in the fall of this year. I would expect GDP to fall. I would expect unemployment to rise. There may be issues with the banks. They may be wanting to raise interest rates and getting into it with our president. Our president looks to be in danger, whether it be legal jeopardy or health issues. I don't know, but I think he'll come out standing, even though he's under tremendous emotional pressure and potentially cause him quite a bit of worry. I think tech companies may be held accountable for some of their misdeeds. Potentially, there might even be internet outages. Okay, that's it for me, guys. Thanks for listening. Hope you like, share, and subscribe.